All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is April 29th. Just one more day left for this month, 2025. My name is John Kerrigan. I'm the lead instructor here at BYOB Let's go take a look at some charts. How I made 2K today. Let's take a look at that. All right, let's look at SPY first. All right, it's a really weak 10-minute uptrend. They're probably going to rip it in the aftermarket here. We got 4 o'clock. It's done. Okay, so wait till the options expire, 4:15. And then the Chicago boys will give them the green light, okay? And they'll, rip it probably. All right, 10 o'clock. 10-minute chart. I'm just going to call it a flat consolidation. This is ready for a breakout. It's either coming tonight or tomorrow morning. I'm going to call it an uptrend because that's where it is. And they held the higher ground on the 2-hour chart. Yep, still got that 2-hour uptrend. Candlesticks, 3 EMA on top of the 8 EMA, on top of the rising 17 EMA. Okay, so there's SPY, 2-hour uptrend. Daily chart. All right, higher low, higher high. Closing over the bullish trap, over the flat 17. All right, that's still in an uptrend. There's the high. They made a higher high, so they're still in an uptrend. If they take out this low, that'll negate the uptrend. All right, so there's SPY. Take a look at this. We're on top of the downtrend line. We have broken the rubber band candle. That would be this candle right here. We are still attached to the all-time high anchored VWAP. I can't wait to break the rubber band candle for that one. There's SPY on the daily chart, still in a daily uptrend. We're just neutral, all right? If we get into this upper third up here, all right, we'll be bullish. Right now, just neutral. If we take a look at the 2-day chart still in a downtrend. 3-day chart, still in a downtrend. Weekly chart, still in a downtrend. Monthly chart is still in an uptrend. Look at that tail. That's a big tail. I mean, usually after something like that comes a big green candle. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We got some big boys reporting. I think the beginning or the end of this month or the beginning of next month. Okay, so what did we trade today? I'm just going to go to the 5-minute. No, I'll go to the 10. All right, so what do we trade? 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. That's what we traded right there. 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. And another 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. So this one and this one. All right. On the game plan, what did you see? Here's the breakout right here. 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. Price moved up, consolidated over to the right. All right. And then it did a mirror image of what it did this morning. Price moved up and consolidated over to the right. What were the trades for today? All right, let's take a peek at those trades. And let's see if I can find them. Here we are. Okay, I'm going to go to the 5-minute chart. Okay, so we blocked off the first 15 minutes. All right, price went up. And then right here's the retest. See how price goes up? And then retest it right there. On that retest, a couple of us nailed this for the rip all the way up into there. Then we had another retest. Yep, we nailed that one for the retest back up here. Then we consolidated over to the right, kind of sloppy. I'm on the 5-minute chart, but it held up over VWAP. Then we had another breakout, and you can see we're consolidating at the highs up here. That is a bullish environment right there. And if you remember at the beginning of the day, I was talking about bullish environment. So we're looking for 10-minute uptrends to really work out nice for us. As you can see, they did. All right. So there's consolidation. And what do we have? Consolidation over consolidation. Okay. Let's take those off. That's a bullish environment. All right. So we went up first thing, did the whole gap fill trick. After the gap fill, we hit this. Retested the box and then ripped up over it. All right, so let's go back out and see if I can get us out of here. All right. So what do we got? We got consolidation over prior consolidation. So back to the consolidation. You got, didn't want that one. Try this. Okay, consolidation. Okay, over prior consolidation right through there. Okay, and then consolidation, and then more consolidation right up there. All right, we're looking for a gap fill, but there are a few pit stops along the way. The first pit stop is 556.10. The next pit stop is 558.46, and then I think then the next pit stop is 561, and then for a final gap fill we have 564.65. There is a $20 gap right here. It's an ugly one, but that's what we're currently in the middle of right there. All right, so there's SPY. So I traded, what did I trade? Let me just take that off of here. So what did I trade? I traded some, all right, I traded some 557 calls. All right, I traded some 560 calls, and I traded some 553 calls. Okay, so I traded all of those. Now I'll move this over. If you want to see what it looks like when I trade them, I like buy the lows and sell the highs. So here's the 553 calls. All right, buy the lows, sell the highs. Buy the lows, reload, sell the highs. There is the 557 calls, buy the lows, sell the highs. And there is the 560 calls, bought the dip, sold the highs up here. And then here are the 557 calls. I bought the lows and sold into the peaks up here. Okay, so that's all of those. All right, so let's take a look at QQQ. All right, let's close this out. And we'll take a look at QQQ. All right, QQQ on the daily chart. It's probably going to look just exactly like SPY. Higher low, higher high, closing over the trap, over the 17, okay? Over the all-time high anchored VWAP, over the midpoint, okay? That's neutral. Okay, you go up, you give it up, that's neutral. You go down, you give it up, that's neutral. Okay, so there's QQQ. On the game plan, okay, hit up the game plan, and you can see right here, on the game plan, we had 10-minute uptrend over VWAP, really sloppy. Then we had a breakout, and another sloppy 10-minute uptrend over VWAP that is consolidating into the close. Okay, so here's the pivot. You can see the pivot held this morning, 569.80. See the red candle just nailed the pivot exactly, and then from there it ripped. If you did the same thing here, you could have boxed off the first 5-minute candles, 15 minutes. Here's your retest, and then a rip, and then you get a second retest and another rip. Okay, 2 rips right off the retest of the first 15-minute candles. All right, there's 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. There's your 15-minute brick. All right, you break out, look for the retest, and then a rip. Okay, that happened on SPY and QQQ. So there's QQQ. So then we had green erases red over 473.80 right up here. There's your candle up over 473.80. Complete candle, not even touching, not even spiking. Could have bought that and rode it all the way up into those highs, up at 476 right there. So there's QQQ. So SPY game plan worked. QQQ game plan worked. 10-minute uptrend over VWAP worked. The brick this morning, broke off the first 15 minutes, trade the breakout, and the retest. Okay, had 2 retests. So there's QQQ. All right, let's take a look at this on the daily chart. I think we already did once. All right, again, it's up here over the midpoint, so that's neutral. Let's take a look at IWM. All right, IWM trying to break out of the lower third. I'm not going to give it to them. All right, I'm going to make them work for it. No dice. They're still underneath. All right, so still in a downtrend. That's nice consolidation. That's a really nice wedge looking to pop to the upside. I got to say that. That's a nice looking wedge to the upside. All right, on the daily chart, got a higher low, higher high, closing over the bullish trap, over the flat 17, still in the lower third, so I'm going to call them bearish. Underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP, underneath the midpoint, so still bearish down here. Okay, they're in a downtrend, but guess what? They're not moving down. All right, so we'll see what happens. How long they can continue with this. Can they hold this up and take out that higher high? Okay, they're inching their way there. All right, but they're not there yet. Okay, so we'll see what happens. Diamond Dow. All right, Diamond Dow is in that funky uptrend with a one-day pullback underneath the 17. So they're in a uptrend, Diamond Dow. Not in the lower third, so they're neutral. They're under their downtrend line, okay? But if you count the pivots, they've made a higher low, and there's a high there, pulled back, and then up. That makes them in an uptrend, kind of a weak uptrend. They really should take this one out. All right, coming back to the downtrend line. Can they break through? We'll find out. Higher low, higher high, closing over the bullish trap, over the flat 17, but still under the downtrend line right there. Still under the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line. Okay, you go down, you give it up. That's neutral. Same thing as if you go up and you give it up. You're also neutral. So no longer in the lower third, definitely not in the upper third. So they're in the neutral zone. So there's Diamond Dow. Let's take a look at FNGA. New moniker here. All right. Price action inside day. They just can't get going, can they? Lower high looking like an inside day. I could be wrong. The high is 444. The high is higher low, higher high. No inside day. Higher low, higher high. Closing over the bullish trap. Over the flat 17, still under pink line. That's the all-time high anchored VWAP. Still under the midpoint, breaking the downtrend right here. This downtrend, they broke that downtrend. But who's to say that that's really where the line goes? It very well could belong out here. All right, we'll see what happens. Breaking the downtrend. No longer in the lower third, so that's neutral. You go up, you give it up. Neutral, you go down, you give it up. That's neutral. So there's FNGA, okay, still underneath all-time high anchored VWAP. They are holding the higher ground, and they are consolidating over some prior consolidation. This is nice and tight. This was fast and loose, all right? They're still underneath all of this consolidation over here. Let me box it off so you can see that. Okay, we got to bust through all of this right here. Okay, see all of this right here? Still got about 3 weeks of price action to break through. All right, they've been here for 3 days. Okay, it's not going to happen overnight. And it might happen overnight. I take that back. If the earnings come in nice, they might snap right through it. We'll see what happens. We got the big cap stocks reporting this week. So I take it back. That might happen overnight. But I do like the consolidation at the highs, kind of implying that we're probably going to get a nice rip up to that all-time high anchored VWAP. Keep an eye on those big cap stocks. Meta, Microsoft, Google, Apple. All right. I think some of those, Amazon, all reporting this week. All right. So there's FNGA. It's neutral, no longer, and in an uptrend, okay? Can they get the job done? Well, we'll find out. All right, let's take a look at our technicals, T2122. We're on a 15-minute chart for the T2122. Nice consolidation. This is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, going on 6 days, hanging out up here in the buy over bought zone. Really nice work. It sure is a change in price action. Never seen this, not in a long, long time. When's the last time we saw that for 6 days straight? I don't know. I don't think we saw that this year. All right, so nice. work going on there. Obviously, they're seeing the value in a lot of these securities, knowing that inflation, they're not going to lower their prices. All right, those prices are here to stay, and therefore that means more revenue coming in on the top line. And if they got good management, that should transcend to the bottom line. All right, so there's T21.22, T21.23. Yep. Green from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. Not even taking the martini lunch there, okay? Bullish gap up. Bears failed to fill the gap. Bears are nowhere to be seen, all right? Price action moves up freely. Not even looking like there's any resistance, all right? Consolidation over prior consolidation. Up over this hooking 200 SMA. Nice work, okay? It's nice on the 15-minute chart, these little micro higher lows and higher highs, but, okay, I want to take out that high. See that little peak between the two valleys here? Okay, I want to take out that high. Do something meaningful. They're getting there. They're just getting there slowly, all right? Still want to see that high. Yeah, they're making higher highs throughout this. Okay, but this is what counts. Take out that high right there. Okay, things are working. Things are waking up. All right, and if you look at it, we're in a big, long bull flag, little mini, big, long bull flag inside of a bear flag. Okay, so there's T21.23. Green from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. And really ramping up here. We'll see. T21.23 3 bar. Same thing. All right. You can see right here we had the V bottom bounce. Went from red to green. Made a lower high. And the bears got inspired to make a lower low. And the bulls, I guess they just felt crushed. Because then we looped into a bear flag hockey stick. Lingered way too long on that. And investors and fund managers gave up hope. And selling begat more selling. And then we come into another bear flag. All right. This one dipped down. This one's dipping up. Does that mean it's going up? We'll find out. All right. T21.23. 3 more green candle bars on the 3-bar chart. Still underneath the 200 SMA. Yeah, they're making a little bit higher highs. Still got to take out that high right there. Okay. It's the same one on the 15-minute chart. All right, see if they can get it done right now. Still in a downtrend. All right, they may be green right here, but the bigger picture is a bear flag. All right, so let's take a look at FNGA. All right, looked like we got buying program came in hard. Green from the beginning of the day to the end of the day with a couple martini lunch. Oh, somebody's having some aftermarket drinks. All right, so a couple martini lunch, they took a pause, and then they resumed the buying. All right, this is when they got the memo, and you can see they just bought everything they sold right back up. All right, and they're back up here, consolidating over prior consolidation, more bullish environment there. Okay, so all of this consolidation here, they're consolidating over it. That's bullish. All of this consolidation here. Okay, and they made a new high right there. That's a higher high. I think they come over the top of that. Let me cross that off. Get the crosshairs out. See what we got here. Yeah, not much, just by a little bit. Chin hair right there. Okay, up over that high. So made a higher high. So making higher lows and higher highs up over this hooking 200 SMA, up over this downtrend line. Underneath this all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, so FNGA looking good so far. I want to see them hold this higher ground. All right, just hold up to that. All right, and then we got some big cap earnings coming out this week that could catapult us right over this falling all-time high anchored VWAP. We'll see what happens. So there's FNGA on the 15-minute chart. Let's take a look at Sectors, XLE. We'll start off with XLE and we'll go to the, yeah, okay, so XLE on the daily. Here we go. All right, so XLE, lower high, lower low, still in the lower third. All right, so it's still bearish, still in a downtrend. Okay, underneath this 12-month high anchored VWAP, underneath downtrend line 1, downtrend line 2, still in the lower third. Fighting minor resistance. That's these valleys of all of this consolidation. Okay, trying to fight that off right now. Okay, they made, here's a low, they made a lower low, so that puts them in a downtrend. In order to negate the downtrend, they're going to have to come all the way up here, take out the highs here, or maybe take out this high. I don't know. That's kind of weak. I think they should take out this high right there. We'll see if they can get it done. Anyways, in the lower third, so that's just bearish right there on XLE, USO. All right, here's the United States Oil Fund, lower high, lower low, closing under the trap, under the falling 17, under, this is a 3-year high anchored VWAP. It's post-COVID high right there. You can see price action in the lower third in quadrant 1. So that's bearish down there. Still in a downtrend. USO. Let's take a look at UNG. UNG got a higher low and a higher high, closing over a bullish cross over this 12-month high anchored VWAP. Still in a downtrend. Here's a low. They made a lower low, lower high, lower low. Still in a downtrend. No longer in the lower third, so they're just neutral. All right, so just neutral there on UNG. Let's take a look at precious metals. Traded some gold today in the futures. Didn't go anywhere. Inside day here for gold. Lower high, higher low, closing in the bullish trap under the all-time high anchored VWAP. Over the rising 17 EMA. Up here in quadrant 4 in an uptrend, making higher lows, higher highs. That's bullish up there in quadrant 4 over the uptrend line. Okay, let's take a look at silver. All right, for silver, what do we got? What's the low? 29.83. What's the low? 29.82. All right, so we got an outside day. Higher high, lower low, closing under a bullish trap over the rising 17. Okay, in the upper third, so that's bullish. All right, over this 6-month high anchored VWAP, also doubles as a 12-year high anchored VWAP. So there's silver in a downtrend, but not moving down. All right, having one nice pullback all the way back up here into the upper third. That's bullish, even though it's in a downtrend. Let's take a look at SMH. All right, SMH looking like an inside day. What's the high? 212.25. What's the high? 212.21. 212.25. Okay, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. Not in the lower third, so that's neutral. All right, holding the higher ground, that's a bullish environment. Up over the bullish trap, that's bullish. Over the flat 17, that's a bullish environment. But under the all-time high anchored VWAP, all right, so it's just not in the lower third, all right? They just walked out the door and they said, we don't want to be bearish anymore, all right? So they did make a higher high here. There's a high. They made a higher high. So that puts them in an uptrend right there, low, higher high. No longer in the lower third, so that's just neutral, SMH. Let's take a look at Big Brother, XLK. Okay, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. This is the flat 17, those dots. Closing over the midpoint, closing over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line. Okay, fighting off minor resistance right there. That's all of this consolidation, the same 3 weeks right there, fighting that off. Still under the downtrend line, no longer in the lower third, and in an uptrend, making a higher high. So they're just neutral right through here. Okay, they're holding the higher ground. That's good. How long can they hold on? We'll see. All right, you get 4 or 5 days up over this all-time high anchored VWAP. Watch it. You could get a breakout. All right, to the upside. XLK. Let's take a look at XLF. All right, XLF trying to break out after 4 to 5 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th day. See him stretching up there to get the breakout. XLF. All right, in an uptrend because it's making a higher low and a higher high. So that's an uptrend. Okay, no longer in the lower third, so it's not bearish. Not in the upper third. It's close. It's getting there. All right, if they'd have closed at the high of day, I think I could have given it to them. But it's pretty close right there. So they're just neutral. Up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Nice work there on XLF. That's looking good. It's in an uptrend. Nice pullback right there, XLF. Let's take a look at IYT. Let me just say transports didn't look good this morning. I don't expect them to look any better this afternoon. All right, I'm going to call it a lower high, higher low. That's an inside day closing over a bullish trap, closing over the 17 in the lower third, so that's bearish. All right, underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP. Not in an uptrend, still in a downtrend. All right, and in the lower third, so that's bearish. We're going to need the transports. All right, and if we get earnings that have really good sales, that could inspire the transports to move higher, because that means sales means moving product around, whether it's raw goods or finished goods. I mean, it had to go to either a store or delivered to someone's house or to a job site. So watch this earnings season. Maybe transports can get themselves out of this bearish 1/3 right there. Can I look at MSOS, CXW, and ABT? Yes. Yes, I can. Okay, so there's transports right there. All right, so I'm going to take a look at a couple MSOS. This is for Robert. With cannabis kind of shaking it up here. Let's put some VWAPs on this. All right, here's our, I'm just going to call it the 12-month high anchored VWAP way up there. I'm going to take this one off. I'm going to take that one off. All right, so there's our 12-month high anchored VWAP. Okay, so that's way up there. Let's take a look at our downtrend line. Okay, so obviously we're probably not going to get back to the 12-month high anchored VWAP, but we do have a chance of getting back to the downtrend line. All right, and what we see here is a nice grind up with higher lows, and I think this one shoots off, and it really hasn't found resistance. Here's resistance way up here. We're showing some wicks, but I don't see any resistance up there. This is where the resistance lies, right up there, 340. All right, so watch this one up to 340. If they get on top of 340 and hold, look for them to make an attack on the downtrend line. Okay, this is looking good. All right. Look for, got two red candles. Look for green erases red. Okay, right up there, over 289. All right, green erases red. See, here's some red here. Green erased it right across the top here. Okay, here's the red pullback. Green erased red right there in the middle of that candle. And we ripped all the way up here. So now we got, look for another green erases red right up over, I don't count the wicks. maybe right up there, okay? About right there. All right. If you can get price over that, that's another green erases red entry. And like I said, this looks good. You don't have any resistance until you get to this area here, 336. Okay? Now, 30 cents on a $3 stock, that's a 10% move. That's a nice move, even though it doesn't seem like a lot. That's, SPY moves 30 cents every day, but you move 30 cents on a $3 stock, that's a big move. All right, so that's not going to find resistance till they get all the way up there. This stuff is just spooky, shake you out of it stuff. Okay, I think this is going all the way up there. If they get on top of that and consolidate, look for them to make an attack on the downtrend line right there.
Order
okay,
filled.
CXW, this is looking good. All right, next green erases red entry, like I said, right up here, over like 288, right there. CXW, and let's take those off. CXW, higher low, higher high. Got green erases red right here. See the consolidation breakout? That's looking good. What do we got up here? We got some resistance, all right? See the top of all those wicks? Look for this to head up there, all right, and attack this 2378, okay? It will probably make a cup and handle. Probably go up there and then do another little loop underneath here, and then you might see the breakout. Okay, but this looks good to go all the way up here to 2576. And if they get on top of that and hold the higher ground, well, 30 is going to be the next number right up there. Let's look over to the left. See what we got going on there. All right, so you got prior high up there. So
order filled.
Yeah, definitely target this, and then I would hold off for the handle, and then I would wait for them to get up over it. I'd let them figure it out once they get up there. Okay, so that's looking good. Higher low, higher high, and they've recovered. Look at this, over 50% of this pullback. Okay, see this pullback right here? All right, from here down, they're way up over it. They're in the upper quadrant, and they're holding. Notice they're holding that higher third right there. That's bullish. They're going to come and touch this. I got a feeling. I think that's good to go right up there. That's CXW. That's bullish. That's looking good. Next one, ABT. ABT. All right. I'm not going to delete that yet. So they made a higher low. They haven't made a higher high here, but they did a squeaky higher high right there. And I'm seeing nothing but wicks up here or bearish engulfing. All right, so this seems to be a wall of worry up here. Okay, right up through here. You're having a hard time making it into the upper third. They are consolidating at the highs. And let's see if we can find... So there's a 3-year high anchored VWAP. Come on, drop. Won't drop. There it goes. It's not going to help me at all. All right, so this is looking good. It's holding the highs right here. I don't like this one. It's showing a head and shoulders setup. Okay? So until they decapitate the head, I don't even like trading this one. I would find something easier with more fun in it. Okay? I don't like this at all. It's showing a head and shoulders. On the bottom side, you're showing an inverse head and shoulders. See, that would be the head. Left shoulder, right shoulder. Okay, on the top side, you're showing head, left shoulder, right shoulder. And they got resistance right here. They got to get up on top of that and hold for 5 days. Other than that, I wouldn't get near it. I just don't like it. I don't like that. I don't have an edge on that price action. And I think I'd find something else. All right, so up there you've got obvious resistance right here, anywhere around 132 all the way up to 133, 34, right around there. Obvious resistance. I kind of steer clear of it till they get up there and hold that higher ground. I just don't like it. It is showing an inverse head and shoulders, and it may make it up there. If they get up here and they start holding this higher ground up here in these wicks, see all the wicks? A lot of wicks right there. So if they got up over those and held that higher ground up there, that would be really interesting. Until then, not so much. I don't like it. All right, but it's very well showing an inverse head and shoulders, and it very well could play out. But I'd need them to see them like grind away up here at this overhead supply. You stay there long enough, eventually that supply is going to diminish. All right, so it's coming. It's just, are you going to be willing to wait for them to grind away at that? I think it's better if you go up and wait till they get on top of it and then trade it to the upside right there. All right. Geo, one last time, yes. Geo is looking good. I like it. It's breaking out. Remember, all of this is consolidation right here. Okay, that's a big wick right there. But you're looking good. Higher low, higher high. This is looking good to break out to the upside. I think that's pretty much what I said earlier, isn't it? Did I change my mind? Yeah, I like Geo right here. I like it a lot. You're making higher lows and higher highs. I think they make their way all the way back up to this high and re-challenge it. I like the idea. See this area right here? I'm just going to take this and move it right here. And then I'm going to slide this right across the top of that. Okay, I like the idea that they're up here. And let's put an all-time high. Let's put a, see how they're over that? And they're holding for 3 to 5 days. Now you're getting rewarded with a breakout. Okay, right there. So this is looking good. I like it. And I didn't want to do all of them. But anyways, that's looking good right there. I like it. Higher lows, higher highs. I definitely take my profits up here. See that peak? I definitely take my profits. Some profits and the rest I'd let trailing stop and let it fly up there. All right. Thank you, Robert. All right, Jim. Half the bull to the grocery store. Thanks. Thank you, Jim S. Yep. Have a good day. All right, that's it for me for today. Okay. I got a little powwow coaching with somebody tonight at 5. If you're in listening distance, all right. Looking to hook up with you at 5. Thanks, Brad. All right. Thanks, Rod. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys all tomorrow, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Okay. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Rod. All right, everybody, have a good day. Thanks, Robert.